welcome to gagrel.net. This is Gagrel Live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And today we are very pleased to have the Motherland documentary filmmaker Vic Gerami, and so he's incredible, talented guy. But let's run this for a minute, and then we'll come back.
Before the invasion of Ukraine, there was Artsakh. With the blessing of Russia's President Putin, nations of Azerbaijan and Turkey invaded the independent Republic of Artsakh, also known by its Soviet name Nagorno-Karabakh, in 2020 and massacred more than 5,000 indigenous Armenians from their ancestral homeland of millennia, while world leaders watched in deafening silence.
I've been speaking out about the current situation in Armenia and Artsakh.
Removing Armenian civilians from their ancestral homeland in Artsakh.
Turkey's role in importing terrorists
between Russia and Turkey and Azerbaijan. This is potentially an existential threat.
I think we need to be talking about sanctions on Turkey.
In 2021, President Biden became the first U.S. president to officially recognize the Armenian genocide of 1915 by the Ottoman Turks. But history repeats itself as the ethnic cleansing of Armenian people continues. This was Putin's successful dry run before his invasion of Ukraine, but I bet that you've never heard about it. So I went to my motherland to investigate the attack and shed light on this precursor to the invasion of Ukraine. Where will they invade next?
Okay, so this is just a little bit of the film. I just copied it from your things. Welcome to gagrel.net.
Thank you, Wally. Thanks for having me.
So tell me about this, the mechanic of this, how you started.
Sure. So obviously after the invasion of Artsakh, like most Armenians, I was glued to Twitter and the internet, and reading and watching and listening to every news story that was coming out of Artsakh, and doing whatever I could to bring attention to the atrocities that wasn't really being covered by international media much. And when they would cover it, it was very toxic, very lots of both-sidism and false balance. And so after having made celebrity PSAs, I stand with Artsakh and Armenia, and getting cities of West Hollywood and Burbank to recognize Artsakh, making this documentary felt like the next indicated step to really capture all of this, interview veterans, eyewitnesses, refugees, experts, diplomats, and bring it to the world attention since media was doing such a bad job. So around January of last year is when I decided to make the film. I called my longtime friend Henrik, who's a producer on the film, and we just started this journey. And we went to Armenia a few times, and I interviewed 7 members of Congress here in the U.S. for the film, including, I would say, the most important members of Congress that have to do with Armenian issues: Congressman Schiff, Congressman Frank Malone, Senator Bob Menendez, Congresswoman Spear, etc.
Was easy to get a hold of them?
Because I interview members of Congress on my radio show. So, I have rapport with them and their staff, and I explained to them about the film, and they all wanted to talk about it because obviously they're very involved. I also interviewed Congressman Brad Sherman, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and Congresswoman Katie Porter.
About the crew, how many crews that you had to do this film?
Well, depends on what you mean crew. So there are three of us that are primary filmmakers. It's myself, my producer Henrik Vartanian, and my editor Chris Damadian. We were the consistent ones, but when we would go to Armenia, we would hire cinematographers in Armenia and assistants and photographers and such. Along the way, we've had to hire people for different sort of phases of the work. So I would say around 10 people that would be considered crew for the process. But the three of us are the primary that have been involved from day one.
So the financing is coming from donations?
Financing has come from primarily from 10 backers, all except one who are Armenian American. So I've gone to very philanthropic people and said, I'm making this film. I need you to back me. I need you to help to make this happen. And I'm grateful for them. We did some crowdfunding in the beginning. So it's mostly come from, generous backers of the film.
Wow, that's amazing work. It's not an easy asking people for the money,
It's not, especially for me. It doesn't come easy, but this is so much bigger than my pride and my ego. So I had to put all that aside and reach out to people and say, we need to really bring this story out to the open.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible, and the whole thing it's well done and well documented. And so who knows, maybe what would be your next filmmaking. But what else you do, like before this filmmaking?
Sure. I'm a journalist. I have an online publication, The Blunt Post, and I have a radio show on, it's called The Blunt Post with Vic on KPFK 90.7 FM, which is Southern California. It's part of Pacifica Network nationwide. And, that's my passion. So this was very, very much, this was a journalistic investigative film where, I really dug in to all the different elements of the invasion of Artsakh and really looked at it through the lens of a journalist, but as well as an Armenian American and an activist also.
You were born in US, correct?
I was not, no.
Oh.
I was born in Tehran, Iran.
Oh.
I was raised partially there and then partially in Greece, and I moved to the States on my 15th birthday.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
All right. Wow, that's great. That's great. So how did go your in Glendale that you did on the Glendale College?
Oh, it went great. We've had 3 major screenings. The first one was the premiere at Raleigh Studios in Hollywood, which was spectacular. I'm very grateful for that. Congresswoman Judy Chu opened the ceremony with a speech. Then Glendale Mayor Ardi Kasakian sponsored a screening at Lambley, and then Senator Anthony Portantino and Assembly Member Laura Friedman joined him. So we had 3 sponsors for that one. And then this past Tuesday, we screened it at Glendale College. The new president, Brian Corner, who's really incredible, invited us to screen it for the community, not just the students, but for the community. So we had a screening there, followed by a moderated Q&A by Dr. Mirashlian. So it was a really great event, and we received lots of great feedback.
So where is the next?
So we have 2 important ones. The first one is the congressional screening we're doing in Washington, D.C. on Thursday, September 15th for members of Congress and ambassadors and other stakeholders. And then the following day, I go to Philly for a screening in Philadelphia. And the last one that's scheduled so far is the premiere in Armenia, which initially wasn't really on my radar because I didn't want to preach to the choir. But given the recent events and circumstances, I feel that it's important to premiere the film in Armenia. And after all, it's called Motherland. So we are doing that premiere at the end of October.
You know, preaching to choir, I think we talked on the phone, is that we write books, we read them, we make movies, we watch them. I'm wondering, look like you're turning the tide, moving this to the non-Armenians. Are you succeeding in that?
I think so. You know, I made the film primarily for non-Armenian speaking audiences that no judgment, no guilt, that may not even know where Armenia is, and that's fine. So my imaginary audience member was a 25-year-old guy in Ohio who'd never heard the term Armenian. So I made the film in 8 chapters, really taking this person on a journey, starting with putting Artsakh in context, history, what happened, how did we end up here? And so from the very beginning, I've been promoting the film, even when we were just producing it, in mostly non-Armenian media. And we've gotten a great coverage all around. And we are now recently getting coverage in Armenian language newspapers around the world. But it's great. It's definitely a great mix of both. But of course, it's really important to get non-Armenians, not just in the US and North America, but Europe and all over the world, to see the film and understand the truth. Because the disinformation campaign, the propaganda campaign of Azerbaijan and Turkey are very well funded. And, you know, they have lobbyists and publicists doing their dirty work, and we have to combat that and really put the truth out there.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see you're trying to turn the tide, you know, not just us listening, but the rest of the world listening to this atrocity of Turks. And Turks, it's a genetic disease, you know, it's built in their gene. This 100 years ago, the same situation. 100 years ago, they saw the world war was going on, so they took systematically kill, murder entire Armenian population. And they did this one exactly the same. Is while the world was busy with pandemic, they saw an opportunity to go and do it. So they keep repeating this. This is not the people you shake hand with it, you know, but unfortunately some do. I'm just gonna let you finish it. What do you want to say?
Well, first, just to say thank you for having me. Any opportunity to reach more people and talk about this is very important to me. And for those that are watching or listening, if you want to support the film, go to the film's website, which is motherlanddoc.com. That's motherlanddoc.com, and support the screenings and the Armenia premiere. It's really important for us to get more funding so we can make these happen. I get requests from all over the place asking me to screen them, but I always, you know, I tell them as nicely as I can that it costs a lot of money to do just one screening. So any kind of help is greatly appreciated.
Man, you did great job. I don't know how to, I don't know how to say it, but you did great job. And people talking about this, and your 3-man show, your marketing is great. And it's just, I always like to critique stuff, but but you didn't left anything in there to be critiqued, you know. But you're doing great job. I wish you all the best, and I hope this will make it to the other than Armenians. And the last thing I was going to ask you, how about translating into different languages?
Yeah, so it's been actually suggested to me to translate it into Spanish, which I would love to. Obviously, you know, it'd be very important to do that. Eventually, when sort of there is 5 minutes to breathe, because right now I'm working like 12, 14-hour days, 7 days a week to make things happen. I would love to do that. And when I get a little bit more funding, it would be great to translate it to key languages like Spanish and Hindi and Russian and French. It would be an ideal thing to do.
Well, great. Thank you very much.